And just try and settle your mind. Bring this young man into your mind and just think you're sending him all this kind of positive energy, all this healing energy and purification. And then to the people who attacked him, such a bizarre thing to do. You can send them some healing energy their way as well. Just sounds super crazy. So we have spent quite a bit of time chatting, so we've missed the first part of the. So just try and settle in as best you can. Make sure your body is aligned. Be comfortable. Lengthen the spine. Shoulders are aligned with the hips. Just be aware of the sounds in your environment. Just try and notice your breathing. Allow yourself to go inwards. And you know also too, the thing that's really quite beautiful about this group, we've spent so long together now doing this practice, we're starting to see the ebb and flow of each other's lives. And there is this thing called impermanence and change. And stuff happens. And yes, your life can change any moment. So that's why we don't want to really waste it. So bring to mind all these people of your life. So the ones you love, the ones you see as the enemy, and then the stranger, and imagine they can all change place at any time. I think they're all equal. And their wish to be happy, their wish to be free from suffering and having this extraordinary capacity for Buddhahood. So I think there is no negativity that cannot be purified. And this purification process is basically a psychological one. So we create negativity with our mind. So equally, we can change it by creating positivity instead. So we're doing this practice of purification in the context of Vajrasattva, in the context of the four opponent powers. And we start with the first power, and that's regret. So we sincerely regret from the depths of our heart, your heart, anything you've done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and on past lives. And think of specific actions of both your body and your speech, and then in general, regret all. And the reason to regret is based on the logic of karma. We experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions. And so having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. We cannot bear the thought of the future suffering that we ourselves will experience. We know from our present suffering, we don't want any more. So logically, it makes sense to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this: I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows, because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering. And so also regret any anger, attachment, and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others. And then think again, I'm sick of this suffering. So then think, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So we start with the power of reliance. And there's 2 sections, refuge and developing compassion. So here we have our Buddha Vajrasattva, and this is who we take refuge in for this practice. So you imagine Vajrasattva above the crown of your head, a couple of inches above the crown of your head, facing the same way as you. You can also imagine this is the mind of your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. You're sitting on a white lotus on a moon cushion. It's just made of this radiant, blissful white light, almost like a hologram, but radiating light out, radiating peace, compassion, wisdom. He's sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion, and has a beautiful, radiant face. His eyes are long and peaceful and full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. And he's sort of accepting you exactly as you are, however it is you're turning up this evening, whatever is going on in your mind. Just imagine he's accepting you exactly as you are. It's totally fine. He has his arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell representing wisdom, and the right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion, and their being crossed represents the union of these two, which symbolizes enlightenment itself, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So in order to develop compassion, we need to rely upon other beings, the very beings we have harmed and those who have harmed us, by developing compassion for them. So think particularly of people you've harmed recently and in the past, and then in general, all beings we have ever harmed since beginningless time. And then try and remember those who've harmed you and have compassion for them, because the harm they've caused you is going to result in suffering for them in the future. So make a strong aspiration to do this practice of purification for the sake of all these beings, and think, I must purify for their sake. So think of those boys that attacked Kathleen's student. You know, there are consequences attached to this kind of violent action. But not only from this life, there's going to be consequences in their future lives. To sort of be so violent without regard to another human being, to harm someone, to frighten them. It's really horrible. So, you know, Kathleen's student has been through a lot. They're being taken care of right now. They probably have a lot of love around them and a lot of support. And these 2 guys, or whoever they were, probably will end up in prison. It's the end of their life as they know it. It's the end of Kathleen's student's life as he knows it. It was very difficult. So there are karmic consequences. So it's not just from right now, it's not just the legal system. It'll pan out, it'll continue on. Because for those 2, it will set them on a path. It might be a better one than the one they're already on. So make a strong aspiration to this practice of purification for the sake of beings like that, who've got nothing better to do than fill their minds with violence and go out and harm others. It's just a horrible way to live your life. So now we're going to purify for their sake. So now we come to the power of the remedy, and this is the actual medicine, doing the practice of purification. And we start with the purification of the body. And Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white nectar like coming out of a hose quite forcefully from his heart, and it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely. And it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you've ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid. And this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left, as you recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajrama Mimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajrama Mimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajrama Mimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajrama Mimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajrama Mimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajrama Mimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajrama Mimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and think there's no way you could do anything but benefit others now with your body. And next is the purification of your speech, and Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech, which overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So just imagine all the gossip, the harsh speech and the useless speech and lying and talking badly about others behind their backs, getting other people to agree with you. All of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as you recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajrama Mimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajrama Mimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajrama Mimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dida me boa, sitokaya me boa, sipokaya me boa, anorecta me boa, sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kamasita me, sitam shriam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan, sawa tata gata vajramami mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya satva a humpe, ambajasapta samaya manupalaya, vajrasapta dina patita, dida me boa, sitokaya me boa, sipokaya me boa, anorecta me boa, sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kamasita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Ambhadra Sapta Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sapta Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anorekta Meboa Sawa Siddhi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasapta Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasapta Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anorekta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So again, feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified, and imagine it's not possible to do anything but benefit others now with your speech. And next is the purification of the mind. And Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart chakra, this arcs around and into your crown and fills your entire being. So it's just the same as when you walk into a pitch black room and you flick on that switch. The light dispels the darkness in the room. So just imagine all the attachment, the neediness, the anger, the violence, depression, resentment, jealousy, bitterness, grudges, all instantly dispelled upon contact with this light from Vajrasattva's heart. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anorekta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anorekta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anorekta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anorekta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anorekta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anorekta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anorekta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatta Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So be delighted that all your delusions, which are the source of all of our own suffering and the cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech, are completely purified. And think that there is no space in your heart now for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss. and compassion. So next is the purification of the imprints of negativity of the body, speech, and mind. And this time, imagine Vajrasattva sends light and nectar, and it fills you completely and eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy from the mind. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa, Sutokaya meboa, Supokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, Sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kamasita me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita meboa, Sutokaya meboa, Supokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, Sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kamasita me, Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa, Sutokaya meboa, Supokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, Sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kamasita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa, Sutokaya meboa, Supokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, Sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kamasita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa, Sutokaya meboa, Supokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, Sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kamasita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa, Sutokaya meboa, Supokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, Sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kamasita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dita meboa, Sutokaya meboa, Supokaya meboa, Anarakta meboa, Sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kamasita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe. So now feel you're completely purified. There's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. Even the subtlest obscurations to your omniscience have been removed. So now we come to the power of resolve, and this is the fourth and final step in the purification process. So we just have to make a decision that we don't want to harm with our body and our speech and our mind. And by making this decision, we're kind of, we're guiding our minds in different directions, more positive directions. So think of something you'd like to work on that's harmful to you, and it could even be something as, it sounds simple as, we generate fear in the mind based on something we make up, not necessarily based on anything. And then out of that fear, we might write something or act something that might be harmful to ourselves and others. This is why, it's so good to keep a really close watch on what's going on in the mind and how we react to things. So it could be as simple as over the weekend, just looking and seeing what's going on in the mind. And maybe for 5 seconds or 10 seconds or even a minute, just meditating on that and seeing if that's something you'd like to change. Because it's sort of energetically, we're kind of rewiring ourselves here with these practices. I mean, they're very structured and they have mantra and it sounds all terribly tradition, but on an energetic level, we're just rewiring ourselves in a much more positive direction. So Vajrasattva is delighted with us and wanting to merge with your mind, melts into white light and absorbs into you through your crown. And think my teacher's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same. So next week, a little bit on emptiness. In emptiness, there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma, and there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level you understand emptiness, place your mind there for a little while. You can think of all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. You can also think that the way things appear to me may not necessarily be the way they actually exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy we've created during this practice to all living beings, particularly to those, to Kathleen's student and to the young men who harmed him, to all of their families. Their lives have been changed now, forever, all of them. So just dedicate for them. And for those of you who have His Holiness the Dalai Lama as a teacher, just make strong prayers for His Holiness to have a very, very long life, for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and for the long life of any of your own teachers. Okay. And be kind to yourselves. Be compassionate to yourselves with your heart. Be good to your hearts. And go to bed, sweet dreams, and lots of love. Exactly, Sheila, like that. Okay. All right, everybody. Good night. I'll see you on Monday. Stay safe. Okay, bye.